Welcome back to the 1983 NWA project. I'm your host, Lex G, and I'm here with my longtime personal friend, Matt Riley. How you doing, Matt?
Hello. I am well-ish.
I know you've been battling a cold for the last couple of days, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. I'll play hurt.
So next up, we have the Nature Boy Ric Flair versus superstar Bill Dundee. At this time in 1983, Ric Flair was the current and defending NWA World Champion. He beat Dusty Rhodes in September of 1981. He did drop it twice in some Phantom title changes, one in Dominican Republic against Jack Vereno, and once in Puerto Rico to Carlos Colon. He does get those back. Later on this year in June, he drops the belt to Harley Race, what sets up the first Arcade. So what are your thoughts on the Nature Boy, Ric Flair?
Well, obviously it's one of my favorites ever. I grew up in an era where you're either an NWA person or a WWF person, and I was a Flair and anti-Hogan person. I just didn't like the whole cartoonish level. I liked the more professional sports aspect. And Flair, of course, was the guy.
You know, one of my favorite, what you would call, sneak attacks running basically at the end of 83, Dick Slater and Bob Orton beats the hell out of Flair. Harley Race had put a bounty on him. They broke his neck. And Flair was about to retire. And instead of retiring in Nature Boy fashion, he goes to the ring with a baseball bat and wears these guys out. He cuts a hell of a promo, which I'm probably going to link to this so everyone can see it. But it's fantastic, and that's what basically sets up Starrcade 83. And what's funny about Flair, he was the NWA champ, and I think he was the last regional champion. The Crockett's do go national late 85, early 86. So at this time, he's still, touring the country, facing all the challengers throughout, the different promotions and territories. And he didn't make a lot of appearances on Memphis TV. But August 14th, 1982, he does make an appearance. He does actually have a match on TV with Jerry the King Lawler, which is fantastic. If you haven't seen that show, it's up on YouTube. So definitely look that up and see that because it's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, I always love the crowds. The fans were always so much better. I think part of it's become jaded as audiences. People are more concerned about getting themselves on TV or holding their signs when the fans to be just so into the match and so into the people wrestling. But I will say a quick aside. My favorite Flair story is when he dropped the belt to Carlos Colon. If you've ever read his autobiography, it's a pretty good read. And he talks about how he dropped the belt because he was afraid of getting killed.
Yeah.
Just up and pin me. And he held him on top of him. I mean, that's pretty damn good.
It makes you wonder if anyone can get that type of heat ever again.
I think the problem with it is that nowadays they're so afraid of being politically correct. You think about it, some of those classic villains in wrestling were the ones who were super, bigoted, or they, Jimmy Snuka getting hit in the head with a coconut.
Right.
Can you imagine if The Miz came out and during the Usos tag, introduction, mocked their Samoan dance? It would be all over the media.
Or he came out with the skirt thing and the paint and kind of mocked them like that, like what Piper did at WrestleMania 6 when he painted himself half black.
Right.
You couldn't get away with that today, unfortunately.
I think the thing is, I think you could, but I think the companies are so afraid, because every time somebody, it's like a wince factor. When you wince, they get you,
Right.
So if somebody was just like, oh, that's horrible, and then the next week, it's like you think about Family Guy does it all the time. There's lots of shows on TV that jump over lines, and so they do it all the time. Look at Trump right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you were making a heel manager to manage a stable of wrestlers, could you do much better than Trump? Anyways, I go back to that kind of heat, and Flair showing up in the hometown fighting superstar Bill Dundee, who I don't give a shit what they say. He ain't 5'7". He was never 5'7".
So you think he was like 5'5"?
Oh, at most. There were a lot of guys that would wear lifts in their shoes.
He did have that Elvis jumpsuit, so awesome.
Yeah. What was the area they were wrestling in?
Yeah, amazing.
And that sweet mullet.
Glorious, glorious mullet.
Yeah, I'm watching the footage here, and even the hair, the mullet swings. You know.
It just sways and it glistens.
I actually watched some pretty good matches between Dundee and Lawler.
You know, their rivalry was real.
Oh,
even if there were baby faces, they would still be in the airport and they're still trashing each other, the fans. It was like, what? What's going on? You guys are tag teams. Like, no, that's hate them. I wish they could do that more today. It's like, you know, why does a babyface have to have all babyface friends? You know,
right.
Like, oh, why can't Dean Ambrose? It's like, yeah, John Cena does suck. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I think it does brings a good point though that there was like a couple beatdowns recently where it was like, is somebody gonna come out and save this guy?
Nope,
no one's coming out.
You have no friends.
Even when like the pay-per-view a while back where Reigns beat the hell out of Triple H, and you thought, well, one of those underlings is gonna run out. Nope. Or when they beat up Reigns, like no one's coming to save you. All right. I miss the days of when there were kind of friendly alliances like that, but there was also like all the jobbers that come flooding out of the locker room. Oh, here's Rocky King to break it up. And Lasertron,
the Mulkeys.
Yeah, they were always running in to break up this wild brawl.
And you will be seeing Rocky King and the Mulkeys as this program goes forward. You'll see appearances by them. So can't wait for that. Bill Dundee, he was involved in the big talent trade, I believe, of 1982, where Memphis and Mid-South had traded talents. Watts got the Midnight Express, Jim Cornette, Bill Dundee, and I believe Memphis got Ravishing Rick Rude, who wasn't the Rick Rude of the late 80s, early 90s. He was very green Rick Rude, so I'm pretty sure Bill Watts got the best end of that deal.
Well, you gotta learn somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, hell, there's some fantastic footage of a young Randy Savage pile driving Ricky Morton on a table in Memphis.
Yes. I actually watched it like 2 days ago, to be honest. I was watching the best of Randy Savage from Memphis.
Oh, I lucked out as a kid, and I got a VHS tape called Mad Men, Maniacs, and Lunatics. And it was all Memphis wrestling and like Mid-South wrestling, and it was like Moondogs versus the Fabulous Ones. Jerry Lawler versus Bill Dundee, and like Lawler gives him a pile driver, you think he broke the dude's neck because he put him through the ring apron.
And it's funny, I mean, us being Northeast guys, I saw a ton of Memphis stuff when I was a kid. Mostly of videotapes that I would find in the local pharmacy, and it would have like the Hulk Hogan's missing matches or Randy Savage goes wild, and it'd be like it was a crappy tape. I got it for 99 cents, but it was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the times, you overlook some of the stuff as a kid. My thing about wrestling was that a lot of the wrestling on Saturday mornings went opposite of Super Friends or Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and it was kind of the same market, same like niche group. Nowadays, just the internet, you can just Google anything and find what you want to see, or you can just load in Ric Flair versus Bill Dundee and put it on.
When I was a kid, I believe I watched approximately 8 hours worth of wrestling a week. Most of it first run, except for the AWA stuff I saw on ESPN. But it was like AWF, which is that goofy league with the round system that Tito Santana was a champion of, and then ECW, and then you have your superstars, your All Americans, your Raws, and then I would watch Worldwide and the main event and Saturday night and then Nitro. So my wrestling card was pretty full growing up.
I think my favorite was when I moved to Georgia and I was wrestling down there. There was North Georgia Wrestling, and
is that the one where New Jack that came from? New Jack and Mustafa and
it might be.
Yeah, I think so.
Years later, but it was funny because the host was Uncle Sam something, and he was a guy who was white haired, kind of like the Colonel, but he was dressed like Uncle Sam, and he's talking about the show and what's coming up. And then all of a sudden, next to him, dropping down from the air, is this marionette that looks just like him. And he's like, "Hey, Uncle Sam, what's going on?" And he's like a heel marionette who's talking smack to the guy. And I remember watching this, looking at Scott, and be like, "Is this real? Like this is the guy that hosts the show?" It's like, "Oh yeah, okay." Maybe it inspired WWF years later to have Rocco be the manager for the Road Warriors. I don't know.
It's possible. It's very possible. Oh, that was awful.
A dark day indeed.
Well, then Rick Steiner used to have that hand puppet too in WCW.
Oh, Moppy. No, Moppy was
Perry Saturn.
Yeah, Perry Saturn, one of my trainers when I went to wrestling school.
Fantastic. Was he as crazy and out there as he became? I guess.
No, he was a very intense dude, man. Like he took training seriously. He brought it. I remember one time we were going back and forth, and it was a thing like we were working on like how level to be stiff, when you actually deliver moves. And he said there's a difference between looking stiff and being stiff. And he threw me in the corner and started kicking me in the face. And everyone thought he was angry at me and like he was whooping my ass, and he wasn't. Nothing. It was awesome, man. It looked great, but he had a really good style.
Light as a feather.
Yeah. So a thing I like about Flair in these matches is Flair would, come into town and have these matches and, put over the local boy makes good type thing, and not lose his belt, and one of the guys from the NWA recently actually wrestled Jeff Hardy, the Pain Train Preston Quinn, and I haven't seen the match yet, but I'm sure he did a good job. He wrote some reviews of it, so it's pretty good.
Awesome.
It's a thing I was thinking about is that that era where you got to see people you would normally never see. So you got to see Ric Flair take on your local champion, and that's still something I think works pretty well. But I think that has to happen is you have to have a belt that people actually respect.
Absolutely, and
I think part of that process is building a champion up people know. And nowadays, when the belts change hands so often, it's like, well, if someone held the belt for like a year, that would be like unheard of nowadays.
I think a lot of the issues with the champions is that they have an inability to make other people look good. Now, they can make themselves look good, but can they make that guy?
Yeah.
So, some of you might know this. My birthday is coming up in about 8 days. I'm actually recording this on the 12th of April. And a question I get asked all the time, what are good places to get wrestling-related merchandise? And unless you have a wrestling store near you, and you probably don't, the internet is your best bet. Obviously, you have WWE.com or ShopZone.com. I purchased a few different items from them. Would it be T-shirts? I got the Jushin Thunder Liger shirt that came out this summer. Your NWO shirt. I did get a CM Punk Christmas stocking, which is awesome. I know another cool thing they do during their live events is you're able to order stuff that's maybe only available at the shows with a special code. Then you use your phone to order it, and they'll ship it right to your house. It's great if you're going like to WrestleMania and you have to take a plane or a train, and trying to come back from some of these shows. I dealt with it firsthand when you're trying to bring back so much merchandise and all that other kind of stuff. It gets tough. So having it shipped to your house is a great thing to have. WWE.com in general. Their quality of t-shirts not the greatest. Their hoodies are a little not long enough. I had the CM Punk hoodie, and it's just not long enough. So it's very odd, a little off-putting. But overall, the customer service is okay. They still owe me a refund on my WWE wrapping paper. I got one of my coworkers, I think it's John Cena doll, because I got her for Secret Santa, and she's a big wrestling fan. And it was supposed to come with WWE wrapping paper, and they didn't send it, jerks. So they definitely owe me the $2.50. So WWE.com, if you're listening, you guys owe me $2.50. So Riley, what are some of the places that you shopped at?
Well, I've looked over the years at different places. I've actually used a few different places for trophies or belts. I know the IWA uses Clemmer Belt Company in Ohio, which is like in their neighborhood.
Right.
But I find a couple of spots, like you mentioned High Spots, which is a good company to go to find kind of a good selection.
They got everything there.
Yeah. If you like funny, quirky shirts or things that kind of stand out that aren't the norm, like, you can go to WWEshop.com. But I like barbershopwindow.com. And if you've never been to barbershopwindow.com, they make shirts that are a little off the cuff. They're obviously
They're humorous. They're supposed to be
humorous,
yeah.
but some of them are really clever, and some are actually pretty damn cool.
I think they have the What a Maneuver shirt with the
yes, yeah, the hashtag heel.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a picture of like, remember when The Undertaker lost, and they showed the fans. There's that one black guy who was like, duh!
Yeah.
It's a picture of 21 and what, and it has that guy's face.
Nice.
So I like this site because it does a pretty damn good job of like bringing back stuff you remember, you know.
I believe that's where I got the Icropro shirt.
Yeah,
Mistaken, yeah. So during a SummerSlam weekend, I went to a panel that had like Triple H and Kevin Owens and all, everyone there. And part of it, you got to take a picture with them. So all like the the officials, and there's some of them I've seen on TV before. They're like, Icopro, what the hell? And even kind of Triple H actually kind of over and whispered over to me. He's like, nice shirt. So I got over with Triple H, so that was awesome.
Nice.
Highspots.com is where I get the majority of my wrestling footage. I don't actually purchase their DVDs and have them sent to me. You can download them from their site. So they have a download function. So you basically you pay for the DVD and you can download right to your computer, which is fantastic. That's where I get all my good Memphis stuff. I get stuff from St. Louis and some of their shoot interviews. And overall, I think their quality and their service is top notch. And I like the fact that a lot of these other websites that have shoot interviews or footage you can't download from. You can stream it, but unless you have a Roku or you want to watch it on your computer, I'd rather watch it on my TV. And a lot of these sites don't have access to PlayStation 4, which I do a majority of my streaming. That's where I watch the network and that kind of stuff. So kudos to High Spots for having that download option because it's fantastic.
Hear, hear. I will say also too, if you like kind of out of the way wrestling paraphernalia. Now, one thing is, if you ever go to Mexico, you can find.
I'm not allowed in Mexico, by the way.
I'm sorry?
I'm not allowed in Mexico. So
no.
No.
Oh no! What?
Yeah.
Dare I ask?
No.
Oh, all right. That's for a future episode.
Yes.
But there's you can Google online, and I'm trying to find it actually as we speak. There's eLucha, which is pretty good for some wrestling masks. Way back when it wasn't as popular as now, it's gotten bigger and better over time. Because one thing I would say, it's one thing if you're shopping just to shop, but if you're shopping and you're actually looking to get in the ring and like perform and have gear that looks good, you can find it out there. Now some of it's pretty expensive, but generally the cost is always a matter of how many times you plan on wearing these trunks versus the money you want to put into them. If you're gonna wear it if you're wrestling like once a month for some indie federation, fine. If you're going to wear them when you practice, just get used to them and break them in. You're going to have tears, you're going to have rips. It happens. But the cheaper the material, the worse you're off you are. So eLucha offers a pretty good selection, and there's good levels to what kind of material you want them to use. So it's elucha.com if you're looking for a little fun source of wrestling gear, because you can go from having a best Halloween costume there is to getting in the gear with it and getting in the ring.
And I think a lot of indie workers today, don't put value or stock in, good gear, but that's what's going to get you noticed at the end of the day is you're going to be your gear.
Yeah.
And then I have kayfabecommentaries.com, by far my favorite, company in terms of, shoot interviews. They have the You Shoot series. They have the Timeline series, which are, fantastic. And their customer service is top notch because I actually ordered a DVD from them and they sent me the wrong one. And I contacted them, and they were able to ship me out a new one. I got it within a day or two, and it was fantastic. They really, took care of me on that. And I actually met Sean, who runs it, at a wrestling convention, and super nice guy. So I love all the stuff they do. So they're fantastic.
Nice. I will say the group I was thinking of, the website, I found it because
nice.
Thanks internet. It's one of those things that it sounds bizarre. It's CorazoneFairtrade.com.
That sounds insane.
CORAZON Fairtrade.com. And there's all sorts of products there, but you can go to the bottom of it. It says Lucha Libre masks. And what I find is nice is they have actually some pretty damn good prices. You can get masks for as low as $15.
Nice.
You can get 8 for $100 So what you can do is like they always say, if you want to have a party for kids, you can get kids 8 different kind of masks, and you'd think like, oh, these are 8 random masks. They're gonna be like cheapos. No, like I got a grab bag, and I got, oddly enough, I got L.A. Park and La Parka. So, you know, I'm like, they're the ones they sent me randomly, and the third mask was like a jobber mask. But I was like, holy crap, this is like 2 of the biggest stars in the country. Fine by me.
That's awesome.
I still have them. I may or may not wear them on Halloween to scare kids, but you know that's not important right now. Can't talk about lawsuits are pending.
No.
But it's kind of cool. I mean, the masks have changed over there. There's not as many options they used to have, but you can still find a lot of cool ones. And it's a lace closure in the back. They also have Lucha Libre like just knickknacks. Like you can get a cape. You can get posters from down there that are like full size big posters. That's pretty cool. Like Mil Mascaris, Dr. Wagner Shocker, Negro Casas. You know, I mean, it's damn cool. I still have my D&D dice bag with Dr. Wagner mask.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so you can find cool stuff. You know, it's a matter of just you know what you're looking to do. They have earrings, and what's nice is this is like a fair trade group. So the guy he does is he goes from Houston down over the border and back, and he just does it that way. So. Pretty cool stuff.
Doing the deal. He probably bought them off the same way they sell enchiladas down there.
Well, they smell like enchiladas, but that's not important right
now. Next, speaking of Lucha Relay, we have RudoReels.com. We get another site where great wrestling footage. They have stuff from Japan. They have stuff from Mexico. They have some stuff from the territories. Not a whole lot, but overall, it's a great site. It's another download site, so you pay them via PayPal, and they basically send you a link, and you can download all fantastic wrestling footage, like the best of Hulk Hogan from Japan, which is nice to see. So I dig them over at Rudo Reels.
Nice.
It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. I have a thing for wrestling footage. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 hard drives full of them.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit crazy with it. So I like to find the hard to find stuff, the stuff that when you're watching this for as long as we have, there's not a lot that we haven't seen. So trying to find that hard to find stuff, or like, hey, this is from Hawaii, or hey, this is from Toronto, and some of the strange stuff from the territory days. You got any more?
No, that's pretty much the ones off the top of my head. So the ones I had prepped out too, and they're the ones I shop at too. So
lastly, I'm gonna go ProWrestlingTees.com. That's where I get my Bullet Club gear. I got the Bullet Club hats, the Bullet Club shirts, and their hoodie. Which again, their zipper hoodies again a little short. I don't know, maybe I have a long torso. I'm not really sure. And I like soft T-shirts, so they do offer an option to get the softer, nicer material.
Yeah.
And the generic kind of T-shirt material. And then, the Bullet Club hat, which is nice. It's a flex fit hat. So, for people like me who have a larger cranium, it's fantastic. So, ProWrestlingTees.com. They do have, I believe I got some of the stuff during their Black Friday sale. So, check them out. I know they have some good sales. And, all their shirts, especially the wrestler shirts, the proceeds go directly to the wrestler. So, if you buy a Kevin Nash shirt on their site, the money goes to Kevin Nash. So these are all like licensed out, and these guys are getting a cut. So it's good stuff, man. So that is it in terms of wrestling related merchandise. Again, don't forget my birthday is coming up in 8 days. So hopefully, my loved ones and my family members will go to these websites to get me some great wrestling swag, as they say.
Nice.
So it looks like we have Ric Flair with the win here. Defeating superstar Bill Dundee in a barn burner. Check us out next time, where the topic will be obnoxious wrestling fans and why we hate them.
Nice.
And we'll see you next time on the NWA 1983 project.